It's your open source advocate, and I'm back with another video, and it's time for my annual review of all of the open source software that I'm using on a regular basis. They're incredible open source software. Now, I have videos on just about everything that I'm about to show you. This isn't going to be a super long video. I'm really going to try to keep things down to a couple of minutes per item. I want you to know that I have in-depth videos for everything, so I'll put links to those things in the show notes and the description. Some of these have multiple videos. I'll try to link to all of them for you so you can go watch them if you're interested in getting it installed or seeing what it can do, because I know a lot of you will find and discover new software during this video. Some of you will say, well, you had this last year. Yeah, a lot of these things are so good, I'm just going to stick with them, but I want to cover them again because they get updates and they get better and they do so many more things over time. I think it's worth time for you to hear it as well. Maybe you'll find something new, so I hope you'll stick with me through this video. I think it's going to be really great. This is one of my favorite videos to make every year, so I'm really excited about it. Before we get started, I do want to say thank you so very much to all of my patrons over at Patreon, to the people who send me a little bit of money through PayPal, and to everybody who's subscribed on YouTube. It just means the world to me that you guys find value in my content, that you enjoy what I'm doing, that you get something out of it. That means so much. My whole goal when I started this channel was to have more detailed videos to help people get things set up and running. And you guys just make it so worth it. I truly, truly appreciate everything that you do, that you want to, say, hey, thank you for the content. It means so much to me. If you haven't already done so, please click on the thumbs up for this video. That helps other people find it, lets them find some incredible open source software and learn how incredible and amazing the open source world really is. It also helps me out on YouTube. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, because I come out with videos every week about new or really interesting or really great open source software that you can put to use for yourself, for your family, for your business, whatever your needs might be. All that said, let's get started. I've got a lot of things to go through. I really am going to try to keep this to about 2 minutes per topic. First one I want to talk about is one that I've talked about in the past, and it's still just as good as it ever was and actually just keeps getting better, and it's called Webmin. So when you're running Linux servers, most of the time it's through the command line, it's through the terminal, it's through the CLI, and you should be comfortable with the terminal and the CLI, but sometimes a nice graphical user interface is just a really great thing to have. And installing Webmin on most distributions, it's already in their package repositories. It's just a matter of do whatever the package repository control is, apt or DNF or yum or RPM or pacman or whatever, and then install Webmin. It gets all the dependencies for you, gets everything set up, and it's a really incredible, powerful tool. If you've come from the Windows world where you have an entire user interface for controlling the Windows server, this might be something you actually kind of get to where you really like. I think it's super incredible. So you get this dashboard when you first come in. You can see what your CPU resources are doing. As you can see, this machine is really just kind of sitting idle right now. There's not a lot going on. You get some great information down here as far as your IP addresses and different information like that. And there is so much stuff over here on the left. I mean, it takes an entire video just to go through it. But there is really a lot. I'm going to zoom this up so you can see some of the options real quick. We've got change passwords, disk network file system backups. I mean, just so many different things you can do over here. You've got all of your different system security, system logs, log viewers. Then you've got servers, so you can actually add extra servers to a single Webmin install if you want to and access them from here. You've got all kinds of tools for doing different things, including setting up your disks and setting up all of the other stuff that you need to do with it. If you're not as comfortable with the command line and you use something to start out with, this is a really great option. You've got network information. You've just got so much control over here on the left side. You can even stop the server, shut down the server, restart the server. And over here on the right, you get these reminders about, hey, you have some updates that need to be done, and if it needs to be rebooted, it'll tell you that. And it gives you those nice little notifications to make sure you're keeping up with what's going on with your actual admin interface. Really a great tool. I have just enjoyed this tool so much. And I wanted to share it with you guys because it's absolutely awesome. So the next one I use is PiKVM. I just got this maybe a couple of months ago, and I've been using it, and it's a super useful tool. Now, this is hardware and software. It uses a Raspberry Pi, as you can tell from the name. But what it does is it actually gives you a KVM switch that's physically attached to a machine or maybe to a switching service, and there's a lot of people out there with detailed videos on how to set this up and do different things with it, so it's probably worth your time. You can build one of these yourself. There's a few extra components you need to get. I just bought the one that they make and had it shipped to me. It was worth it to me because it's really a great tool. I've been able to use it quite a bit lately. This is definitely a tool for those of you that are doing managed services and IT that you might want to get some for your clients and put them on their machines where you can do things a lot easier from a remote service. But really, really awesome. I love PiKVM. All right, you guys see this in almost every one of my videos, and it's NGinX Proxy Manager. This is how we set up our reverse proxies for all of the services that we want to host and actually have access to that might be in our home labs. So here I've got all of my reverse proxies, and I've got all of these great home lab URLs that we can see and everything. So I can access all of these things from outside on the internet. And you can do a lot of things. You've got control lists here, so you can set up control rules that say, hey, it has to be a certain person. You have to log in to be able to access this from certain IP addresses, all kinds of things like that. It's really terrific and such an easy, great graphical user interface for setting up reverse proxies. This is one of my favorites for sure. MeshCentral is another incredible tool. This is what I would call more of an RMM, but it gives you the capability to do remote desktop, remote different things that can really make a huge difference. So the one thing that's a downside for MeshCentral is it's not set up yet for Wayland. That makes me a little sad. I'm hoping that somebody will get to it to fix it. It's just such a great tool and great platform. But if you're managing Windows systems like these that you can see up here, absolutely terrific, and you can jump onto a system really easily. You just click, and then you can click here to go to the desktop. And right here in the browser, I can get the desktop, I can log into this machine, I can do all the things that I need to do, and it just has a little daemon that's running in the background that lets me do everything that I want or need to do. So it's really a terrific tool for remote desktop support, but it's got a lot of other things too. So you've got terminal access if you want to get connected that way to the command line on Windows or on Linux. You've got your files, so you can upload and download files from the remote system. You've got a lot of information as far as logging, and then you've got a lot of other things that you can do here as well. So you can see the details of the server, and then you can check out the console for any kind of output that's coming through whenever you're doing different things. But it has got a ton of tools down here in the bottom of the screen that you don't realize whenever you get connected, especially. You get a whole other tool set of things you can do. You can go full screen, you can click this or hold shift and click this to go completely full screen. If you just click it, it'll go full screen. I mean, just tons of tools in this thing, and it's built out really, really well. And if you don't like this theme, this is kind of the original way that they have it set up. There's theming that people have created as well to make it pretty easy. You just go into a folder and replace the CSS. I mean, just an absolutely powerful tool. MeshCentral is amazing, and it's going to be part of what we're doing for my Building an MSP on Open Source series. So get ready for that, because this is going to be great, and we're going to set it up with our authentication system. So really, really awesome. All right, Portainer. This is another one that I use a lot, and I haven't set up all of my agents because I've been migrating my servers off of the big heavy servers I've been using in my home lab to things that are much more energy efficient. And yeah, this thing is great, and I love it. So if I click here, I can jump in and see all of my Docker containers that are running on this particular server. And I can see the containers, I can see their statuses, but I can take actions. It's all clickable. It's a nice graphical user interface. These are all things you can do through the command line on Docker, but sometimes it's nice to just jump in and get an overview real quick, see what's going on, maybe do a couple of things that make it easier to get things restarted and see where they went. You can check out logs. You can jump into the shell. You can do so many really cool things with Portainer, and it is awesome. Now I'm using the community edition, but there's a business edition, and you can get a certain number of licenses to use for free. And if it's really useful to you in your business, it is probably absolutely worth it for you to go get that business edition and pay these guys, because paying these different open source groups is what keeps the open source project going. You need to understand, they do it because they love it, but they also do it as a business. And then being able to make money is what makes this open source software continue. So keep that in mind. If you've got the ability and you really love something, get out there and figure out how to give them a little bit of money to say thank you for it. Next one I wanted to talk about is Vaultwarden. Now this is a Bitwarden spinoff that's built on Rust. It's a little bit lighter weight than the Bitwarden open source software, but it's a fork. It is absolutely amazing. It works with your Bitwarden front ends. So I use Bitwarden up here in the panel, but it reroutes me to my Vaultwarden vault. I've got my family using the Vaultwarden vault. You can use the application on the desktops for it as well. It's really, really a great solution for your password management, your two-factor authentication tokens. I mean, just everything like that. And it plugs right into your browser, which makes it super easy to get logged into things when you need to. I absolutely love this thing. It is open source. Again, you can run this for free, or you can go and pay them, and they've got some really great professional and business edition features like team sharing and just so many great things that can help you run a business where you need to have passwords and secure passwords and lots of passwords so that you don't have to remember everything or have it written down somewhere where it could get taken. This is an encrypted system. It's just absolutely amazing. Next up is Metabase. I love Metabase. This thing is awesome. You can see here I've got some different figures. This is for my wife's business. So she runs a business where she sells things on eBay. Now, take into account, this is over 4 or 5 years. This is not just this year. This is her overall what she's made. This is the shipping and handling costs that she's had. So you can see that's about 1/3 of what she makes. Now this is how many things she's sold in total. And then just here's a chart over the months of everything that she's done and how much she's making and basically how much she made and how much she paid in shipping. So you can kind of see how that breaks down, and we can see which months are her good months and which months she has a little bit less sales. And that usually just follows cycles around here with March in the US, that's about when people start getting some of their tax returns and they'll start spending some money. And then over here in October, you start seeing people buying for Christmas presents and things like that. And then it kind of trails off as they get closer to December because they're all going broke. And then you see this, so you kind of see this same thing over and over throughout the years. It's interesting. I can help her and I can keep track of tax information that she needs, like these totals and stuff like that. But it also just helps us understand, like, what are the trends with what she's doing. And I've got other dashboards that I've built, but it's a super easy thing to use Metabase. It's really a mostly clickable display, and learning how to do things in it is pretty fast. I just love it. It's such a great little reporting tool. Again, they have professional versions. So if you were thinking about, man, this would be great for my business, you're right. It is super awesome, and it is super easy to get some stuff going. And if your bosses have been looking for more data to be a data-driven business, this is something you could wow them with, because you could set up dashboards that just would make their eyes go crazy. Absolutely awesome. So next on the vein of remote desktops is Remotely. This is another nice tool where you can get in and do some desktop support, things like that, but you can also monitor your systems. So when you set up Remotely, you can set it up with 2-factor. You can be very secure with it. And then you've got these different options over here. So your clients can always get to your download page. And when they go here, now they won't see this part at the bottom. This is really for you as an admin who's logged in, but they don't have to log in. They can see these Windows downloaders, the Linux downloaders, and they can download those things, and it's going to have your URL set up if you've ever set up everything in the system correctly. And when they open it, it's going to give them a little code. They will give you the code, and then you can connect through the desktop, and you can go to the remote control. You can type in your name or have it automatically filled, type in the code, and it's going to connect you to their system. And it's just really cool. It's all through the browser. The controls and everything are really nice, and they're continuing to do development on it, which is great. The company who took this over has kept it open source. They hired the developer who made it, and he works on it occasionally when he's not working on other things for them. So it gets updates. It's really awesome. I just love Remotely. It's such a great, powerful tool. All right, the next one on the remote desktop vein is Guacamole. If you've never seen Guacamole RDP, this is an absolutely incredible piece of open source software. So you set up this Guacamole server. It runs in your browser, so you access it through your browser, and then you can set up connections. So you run this server on your network, on your LAN. You set up your remote desktop connections, and then you can just go in here and click into a remote desktop system and actually access it. Now I've set this up with grouping, so I can see that I've got this set up for admin access, and this is set up for normal user access. And then here's my home machines that I can connect to and actually use. I mean, just really awesome. And if it has RDP or if it has VNC or anything like that, you can use this to get to them, and it gets to them right through the browser. So I'm just going to click on this one. So the next one here is Authentik. I've been doing a lot of stuff with Authentik lately. If you guys haven't checked this out, it is a single sign-on solution that gives you all kinds of different ways to set up your single sign-on. LDAP, SAML, OIDC. I mean, just so many different ways that you can set up single sign-on. You can see here I've got all of my different applications that I've set up. We'll be using this for building an MSP on open source, so you'll see that coming. You can see MeshCentral as well. I talked about that one already. But I've got my NextCloud, I've got Headscale, I've got Netbird, I've got so many different applications now. And it's really cool because you come here and then you can access these things from here. So I'm already authenticated into Authentik, And then I can use this to open up my different systems so that I can actually get out there and use these different options. Netbird is my VPN of choice these days. It's just such an awesome system. It uses WireGuard in the background, but you set up Netbird and then you can go in here and set up all your different tools. Oh, it's refreshing. There we go. Just wanted to re-authenticate. You can see all of your different tools. You can see who's online, who's offline. You can go back and set those guys online if they're not online. So you can just go log in on those different machines. But just super incredible to be able to use something like this and see the different machines that you want to access on your network. And you can set up different rules. You can set up different access levels. You can have different users that have access to different groups of machines or different individual machines. It's super powerful. I've just really been enjoying the heck out of it. And we're going to, again, be using this for building an MSP on open source so that we can make sure our clients' data and our connections to our clients are secure. So LXConsole is a new one that I've just been really enjoying as well. This one I was talking about previously in a video, and I got a lot of stuff from Scottabyte on how to set up Incus and then how to use the LXConsole to access my Incus servers. So you can see here I've got a couple of servers. So if I click into this one, yeah, I've got a lot of little stats. So it tells me how many containers I have and how many are up and running. So you can see right now it's not all of them are up and running. I've got one shut down on purpose. We've got no virtual machines that I've set up yet, but I will be. And then we've got a little bit of information about how much memory is being used. I got 64 gigs total. You can see it's not quite half that's being used up. And just a ton of information about the system. But then you click into these instances and you can actually go in and get more detail. I can see each instance. I can see their IP addresses that I can access. So much really great information. And then from there, I can even click into the instance and I can just click into here. I've got even more detail and more information about that instance. And then I can go here and look at the configuration. So I can go through my configurations. And then you've got tools up here that you can use to go in and do actions. And you've got the console, which is really, really great. So once I've opened that up, I'm logged into my console and I can actually just do an ls and see what's going on. I can cd into my Docker container and do an ls and see what applications I'm running from here. I can take all the actions I would normally take through the command line, but I don't have to actually open up my terminal. I can just do it right here from the web interface, which is absolutely awesome. HomeAssistant. So this is another one. I'm getting ready to move, I hope, in the next few months. I've got to sell my house, but we're moving to a new city. So some of this is not working because I've taken down a lot of the stuff that I would need to move. And so a few of these things are not functioning today on my dashboards, but they'll be back up and running once I move and get everything set back up at the new house. But you can see I've just got a few different things here. But I use HomeAssistant, but everything is automated. So I don't look at the dashboards very often because I don't need clickable things. I really just use it to see like my cameras, and you can see my doorbell camera's not on right now, but I can see my cameras. I can see different things like that. I mean, this is if you're looking for home automation, open source home automation is absolutely the most powerful thing you can do for yourself. Get out of the cloud. Take your data back. Make yourself more private. Quit giving away things to Google or Apple or Amazon or anybody else. I can tell you right now that I love knowing that I can keep almost everything I've got here local. Nothing has to go to the internet to come back and do things. I absolutely love HomeAssistant, and it has gotten so much easier over the years. It used to be YAML files everywhere, and these days you can set up anything through the web user interface. I mean, it is rare that you see somebody say, here you have to go into the YAML and edit something. It is just such a really awesome system. The automation power is incredible. I mean, just so many great ways you can do things. HomeAssistant is amazing. NextCloud. So I did NextCloud AIO a while back, and I've just been updating it over and over. The tools have been great. I migrated it now 2 times actually. I've migrated the data once just to give it a bigger data pool. It is an amazing tool. I use this thing for so much stuff. I mean, of course, document storage and syncing is super powerful and important, but I also use it for my family's calendars. I use it for keeping track of all the things I need to do in order to get moved to make sure my house is ready for a sale. And there's just so many other things over here. Now, these are extensions that give me this capability, but you can do so many awesome things inside of NextCloud. It is just mind-boggling what this thing can do. I love it. It's an awesome tool. And again, I have this set up to use my Authentik, and my wife and I both just log in through Authentik. I've got the girls set up so they can log in through Authentik and do the things in their space, and they have their permissions. It's really great. I love it. This is WriteFreely. This is a blogging platform. I covered it a while back, and I thought, you know, I was looking for something that was a little bit easier to set up and maintain, just kind of for myself, but I have it publicly shared. But I was doing this project, or I'm still doing this project, where I bought this old baby grand piano, and I basically took it all apart. So you can see, here's all the photos where how it started, and then we started taking everything off of it, my wife and my brother-in-law and I. So this is WriteFreely. And for that, to get all those pictures, I'm actually hosting the images myself. They don't upload to WriteFreely. I'm using a thing that's called Picsur. It's kind of like Imgur, except it's one that you host yourself. If I log in over here, let's log into Picsur. You can see all of the images that I've already uploaded. You can just kind of take a look at this. And it gives you some really great ways to get things. So tater tot casserole, pepperoni hot dish, or spaghetti hot dish. I can't remember what this is called. It's one of my favorite casseroles, though. So yeah, I use these for making posts as well about my different foods that I love. But once you get this photo in there, it gives you all these different ways to capture these URLs to put them into a blog format. So really, Picsur is awesome. The next one is Rocketchat. I run Rocketchat. I apparently need to update it. And I love Rocketchat. It is such a great thing. But this is what I use for my community, for you guys. So if you haven't jumped over there and you want to have chats with me or any of the other guys in the community, these guys are super smart. They're super helpful. I try to get on and help you as often as I can. It may be a few days sometimes before I get a chance to do it, but I really try to get on there and make sure that you guys are getting answers. So this one you can get to it at discuss.opensourceisawesome.com and just create a user or log in with one of the different SSO logins I provide for you, whatever you want to do there. But yeah, I love Rocketchat. It's such a great way to keep up with the community, have quick chats, to have discussions. I post my different videos over here most of the time. It's really, really great. So just something for you guys to know about. This is where I keep all my show notes, and this is called Bookstack, and this is an incredibly powerful open source platform. It's got some really, really killer features. I opened it up a while ago, and you can see I logged in using Authentik when I did it. But this is just a list of all my stuff, but you can search too. So if you're looking for something specific, if you said, oh, I want to see NextCloud, you can see it starts searching. Now I've got this zoomed way up, so it looks a little bit funny. But you know, if we go here, install and set up NextCloud all in one, there you go. You just click. The search is powerful. It's very fast. You can see the video. I've got step-by-step instructions for everything that I do to give you kind of the start to finish of what you're going to need. You know, I really try to give you everything. So I love this platform. It is amazing. It lets me organize things into shelves and then books and then chapters and then pages, and just kind of get things organized in a way that makes sense for me to be able to find it again and go back and add more stuff to it. Finally, we're back at Dashy, and this is my dashboard that I love. Dashy is so powerful. Since I found it, I just have not been able to switch off of it. I've looked at other ones like Homepage and stuff like that, but I just love Dashy. It's so simple. It's so easy to get set up. It's got a nice user interface for just setting things up, which is really great. I don't have to switch over to a YAML editor if I don't want to, but you can. Just lots of different ways to get this thing going. But this gives me quick access to a lot of the services that I'm running, whether they're at home, whether they're out there on the internet, on DigitalOcean. It doesn't matter. I can just click and jump in, but I can also see if it's able to ping, if it sees that service, if it says, hey, that thing seems to be up and running. So this one right now, I've got the wrong IP in there, but yeah, everything should be up and running, and it lets me know that. So I love that one. Now I have more. I'm going to do a part 2 of this video because it's a very long video, but I have more for you guys as well. So the next thing real quick is Trilium Notes. I did a video on this a while ago. It has a Electron client. I know a lot of you guys don't like Electron, but I really, really love Trilium. It's super fast to find things. It's easy for me to jump around and do things. This is my list of movies that I'm watching with my girls and my wife. We have a movie night every week, and as we go along, I'm just marking off movies as we see them. And it's movies that I feel like I want them to see. Some of them I have to kind of figure out, is this really something they should be watching? Some of them it's not even a question. But yeah, we just have such a great time sitting together and watching movies every weekend. And this is the list, so I can kind of track which ones have we seen and which ones haven't we. But we love to watch movies together. But I've got so many notes in here, and it's really just an incredibly flexible platform with a lot of tools that let you do a lot of things. If you've used Obsidian in the past, I would say this one could be really close to taking things over. Logseek users, this is going to be very powerful. Qown Notes users, this is going to be just one of those things that you may not have realized is such a great tool. Again, I've got videos on how to get this set up, and it's got its own syncing server, which I really like, but you could also use different ways of syncing because it just saves these files on your desktop in different formats. So next thing up, I showed you guys how to set up a Matrix Dendrite server a while back, and that's what I've been using for my family. So this is just me and my wife and my girls, and we have a little group here that we have talks with, so they know where we're at when we go to pick them up from school, or they can send me messages about things that they're working on, or I can tell them, hey, don't forget, or hey, we're going to be there to get you in a little bit. My wife sends me messages about all kinds of things all day long, and I love having it on the desktop because on the phone, it's just not there for me all the time, but I can have this open on the desktop while I'm working, and I see the message come in, and I can look to see, is it something super important, or is it something that can wait for a little while? So finally, one of the things that I use every week is to edit your videos. I use Shotcut. Now, a lot of you guys probably have seen things, if you're into video editing, you've seen the tools that Mac has included or that you can buy from Apple for pro level stuff. You've probably seen DaVinci Resolve, you've probably seen the Adobe products, you've probably seen all kinds of things. I'll be honest, for my workflow, this is absolutely the best thing. It is super fast. It does some really incredible stuff. It gives you even more meters than this. I just use this one because I don't need too many. But it lets me break these things down. I can break these into clips and save them into clips as well. I can put them in here. I can rearrange my timeline. I can set up different views. So yeah, I really love this, and it's got some real power to it. It's got a little learning curve. It's not super difficult though. Really, if I learned it, honestly, it's not too difficult because those other ones are pretty complicated. This is very straightforward to me, and setting things up, it just keeps getting better. The developer has just made things just better and better and better. It's such a great tool, and I use it all the time. I love Shotcut. I've got some older videos on it. I probably need to do a new one because it's got some really great new features to it. And last, but certainly not least, for recording the videos, I use OBS. I used to use one called Simple Screen Recorder, just because it was exactly what it sounds like, a simple screen recorder with a few extra features that made it really, really useful. It was not updated the last time I checked to be able to record the Wayland desktop, and OBS does record the Wayland desktop, so I really, really like that feature about OBS, because switching the desktop type these days is just not useful, and a lot of these guys are going to eventually just end the X11 support, so I need to start moving over to these things that are using Wayland, and Wayland has come a long ways. It really performs well these days. Alright, that is my list, my first run at my list of open source software that I use on a regular basis. I hope you guys saw something new, something interesting, something you want to go check out. And again, in the show notes and in the description, I'm going to have all of the videos that I talked about, where I've got videos for them and show notes for them. I'll have all those links in there for you guys. Just get out there and check them out. Go see what you can find. Get something set up. Start using open source. You're going to love it. I'm telling you, open source is such an incredible, powerful place to be at. And if you really love a project, make sure to jump over there and say thank you to the people who develop it. Just go over to their GitHub or go over to their forum page and just post a thank you. Say, I just wanted to say thank you for this. This is such a great project. If you're looking at using it for business, or you're really loving it and you want that project to continue and they've got a way to donate or a way to give them a little bit of money for the business, go do that. It supports the project and it makes them so thankful to you. It lets them know that you are so thankful to them, and it really keeps that project going. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, like, subscribe, tell your friends about it so they can come along on the open source journey with us, and I'll talk to you next time.